TBR News, Threats, Rhetoric, and Denial. Folks, this next story is serious. A Texas man, identified by local reporting as 26-year-old Jacob Winsky of San Antonio, has been arrested after authorities say he made threats against Erika Kirk at a Turning Point USA event scheduled in San Antonio. According to arrest documents reported by KSAT, the threats included comments about bombing the event and violent language aimed at Erika Kirk, Turning Point speakers, and Christian conservatives. Now here's the bigger issue. We keep hearing politicians and activists dress up their message with words like unity, compassion, and democracy. But behind the polished talking points, the rhetoric keeps getting hotter. Conservatives are called threats. Christians are called extremists. People who disagree politically are treated like enemies instead of fellow Americans. And when you keep telling unstable people that their opponents are dangerous, evil, or need to be taken out, eventually somebody out there may decide to act on it. That is the danger. This is why rhetoric matters. This is why leadership matters. You cannot stir people up, demonize half the country, then pretend you had nothing to do with the climate that follows. And yes, in Texas politics, we're watching James Tallarico too. He presents himself as calm, polished, and moderate. But when you look at the camp he runs with, the language, the policies, and the activist energy behind him, conservatives need to ask a hard question. Is this moderation? Or is this just better packaging? We are not saying every Democrat is violent. We are not saying political disagreement is a crime. But we are saying this: when public figures use reckless language, unstable people may hear permission. And that is how threats turn into security lockdowns, arrests, and potentially tragedy. TBR News will keep watching this story because political violence from any side has no place in America. But neither does hiding behind pretty words while the base gets fed a steady diet of anger. This is TBR News. Don't be fooled by the smile. Watch the movement behind it. Next item. Who the hell wants Madoni to rain on their parade? That's the question New York ought to be asking right now. Here you have Zohran Mamdani, a self-styled democratic socialist, backed by the socialist movement, wrapped in polished talking points about fairness, justice, affordability, and compassion. But when it comes time to stand with New York's Jewish community at the Israel Day parade, he chooses to sit it out. Now he'll say, this is about Israeli government policy. But critics are asking a fair question. Is this really about policy, or is this about ideology? Because the Israel Day Parade in New York is not just a foreign policy event. It is a public show of support for Jewish New Yorkers, especially at a time when anti-Semitism is rising and people are nervous about safety in their own city. And when the mayor of New York decides not to show up, that sends a message. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. In our opinion, Mamdani represents something much larger than one parade. This is the new radical left playbook. Overload the system, divide the public, create chaos, and then present bigger government as the only answer. Some people call that the Cloward-Piven strategy. The idea is simple. put so much pressure on the system that it starts to break. More demands, more spending, more dependency, more division, more confusion. Then when people are exhausted, afraid, and broke, the same people who helped create the mess step forward and say, "We're here to save you." That's not leadership. That's political arson followed by a sales pitch. And the tools are always the same. Lie about your real agenda. Call your opponents racist, fascist, extremist, or hateful. Throw a public fit when people question you. Play the victim when you get criticized. Then try to silence, cancel, or intimidate anyone who refuses to go along. That is how radical politics works. And New York City has seen this movie before. Soft on crime policies, sanctuary city pressure, businesses leaving, taxpayers squeezed, police undermined, regular working people told to shut up and pay the bill. Now here comes Madoni with a smile, a slogan, and a socialist agenda. But slogans do not fix cities. Socialism does not create safety. And skipping a parade that matters to a major community in your city does not look like unity. It looks like politics. So here's the TBR News question. Is Madoni trying to bring New Yorkers together? Or is he choosing sides while pretending to be everybody's mayor? Because if your politics are built on division, dependency, and ideological loyalty, don't be surprised when people call it out. New York does not need more chaos. New York does not need more radical experiments. New York needs safety, honesty, and leadership that respects every community, not just the groups that fit the agenda. Don't just listen to the talking points. Watch the actions, like siding with Islamic terrorists, because actions tell you what the mission really is. Affordability is the Democrat ruse. Folks, here's the last item tonight. And this one exposes the political game. Democrats keep screaming, affordability, affordability, affordability. But look around. Airports are packed. Highways are packed. Restaurants are full. Hotels are booked. Americans are traveling, eating out, filling up their tanks, and doing what Americans do. Memorial Day travel just proved it. Even with high gas prices, AAA projected record holiday travel, millions on the road, and millions more in the air. So here's the TBR News question. If Americans are so frozen by this affordability crisis, the Democrats keep selling, why are they still traveling in record numbers? The answer is simple. Americans are resilient. Americans adjust. Americans may complain about prices, and they have every right to. But they are not going to stop living their lives just because politicians want to run another fear campaign. Now don't get me wrong. Prices matter. Gas prices matter. Groceries matter. Rent matters. Insurance matters. Working families are feeling it. But Democrats use affordability like a campaign slogan, not a solution. They help drive up costs with regulation, spending, energy restrictions, green energy fantasies, and open border pressure on housing, schools, hospitals, and public services. Then they turn around and say, "We're here to fix affordability." That's like an arsonist showing up with a garden hose after setting the building on fire. And let's talk oil. Americans are smarter than the political class thinks. Many people understand oil is not priced in a vacuum. It's tied to world markets, shipping routes, war, supply, demand, refineries, regulation, and geopolitical pressure. That brings us to the Strait of Hormuz. For decades, rogue regimes have treated Hormuz like a gun pointed at the world economy. Every time tensions rise, the threat is the same. Disrupt the oil flow, spike prices, scare the markets, punish working people at the pump. But the world is waking up. Plans are being discussed and built to reduce the ability of any suicidal rogue regime to hold the global economy hostage. Pipelines, alternative routes, military escorts, new export points, and energy security planning are all part of the picture. The message should be simple. No Islamist regime, no terror machine, no unstable government should have the power to shut down the world's energy supply and crash the price of gasoline for American families. Energy security is national security, and this is where the Democrat affordability argument falls apart. You cannot claim to care about affordability while attacking domestic energy. You cannot claim to care about working families while making fuel, electricity, groceries, transportation, and housing more expensive. You cannot claim to care about the middle class while building policies that make every basic need cost more. Americans are still traveling because Americans don't quit. But that doesn't mean they're not watching. They know who made life more expensive. They know who used crisis after crisis to grow government. And they know the difference between a real solution and a campaign ruse. This is TBR News. Affordability is not a slogan. Energy is not a toy. And America and the world should never let a rogue regime hold the world hostage for any reason, especially Islamic terrorists.